Israel has like watchdog group that operate out of Jerusalem and is a democracy where you vote for people? How is that fascism?
Fascist regime is liberal democracy or progressive democracy.
Yeah, in the future, if you're going to say they're fascist and your definition of fascism includes liberal democracy, which is contradictory to almost every single person on the planet's understanding of what fascism means, just say that. Just say, oh,
hold on.
Everything you said was a lie.
This is ridiculous. Like, go look at the vote that happened in the Senate.
All right.
4% of senators, only 4% of senators voted for a ceasefire. Meanwhile, 66% of the American population voted for a ceasefire, including 80% of Democrats and 50% of Republicans.
Sorry, I don't think that many people voted for ceasefire.
Did you say AIPAC is the biggest lobbying group in America?
One of the biggest, yes.
Yeah, oh yeah, not the biggest. That's just
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say it's the biggest.
Okay. I was just wondering. Okay. It's not like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is the biggest lobby in the United States that is lobbying for a foreign country. Now, contradict me on that if you can.
Wait, can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
How many fascist dictatorships have existed that are democracies?
And your point is?
Well, I'm just curious what the definition we're using for fascism is when Israel has like watchdog groups like B'Tselem that operate out of Jerusalem and is a democracy where you vote for people. How is that fascism?
It's not democracy. Israel is not a democracy. That's coming from an Israeli, by the way.
Okay, wait, what is your definition of democracy?
You probably know about Bibi, right? And you probably know he's rigged a lot of elections and he's extremely corrupt. You probably
rigged a lot of elections? First of all, even if you're talking about rigging elections or corruption, these are two things that are not fascist. If you had a fascist government, you wouldn't have to rig anything or be corrupt. You would just control everything, right?
I mean,
that's what I was saying earlier.
No, wait. You can do both. You can put on the facade of a democracy and still be fascist. And that's what's happening. Is Israel has enough funds to be able to put on this facade to the Western world.
Hold on, we're not talking about a facade. Hold on, we're not talking about a facade to the Western world. We're just talking about the country of Israel. So you're telling me the Knesset, all the elections, every single thing in all of Israel, that's all faked?
Listen, he said it very clear. You can still have a fascist government that plays a front of being a democratic state. You can be both. You can be both at the same time.
What makes it fascist?
I'll tell you what makes it fascist. What makes it fascist is that all the options you have to elect are all basically genocidal. One is more extreme than the other, but the one that's less extreme is still very extreme. And so no matter who you're going to elect, you're going to have a genocidal agenda that systematically displaces and kills Palestinians, whether you elect Bennett or elect someone for the far right or elect Netanyahu, the Likud party, or even go a little bit left.
Okay, that's cool, but like, even if what you're saying is true, that's not fascism, right? Even if I could elect between 5 people and all 5 are genocidal, that just means you've got 5 genocidal
so you're
leaders.
Saying because they have democratic elections that they're not fascist.
That's a pretty big part of fascism is the sense.
But you understand fascism is an ideology, right?
Wait a second. There's a Jew by the name of Oral Kolnai, and I'll spell it for you. Aurrel.
You don't need to spell it for me. I don't care. Just tell me what he says. Yeah.
Okay. What he actually argues is that there are 3 types of fascist regime.
Go on.
Obviously.
Sorry, but you're cutting off. Go ahead.
Number 3, he said, basically, fascist regime, he said, is liberal democracy or progressive democracy. And he says it's the most dangerous type of fascism.
Okay,
you know what? Look at his paper called The 3 Riders of Apocalypse.
That's okay. I'm never reading a paper by somebody that calls liberal democracy fascist. But if you're going to say that a liberal democracy is fascist in the future,
he's a Jew. He's a Hungarian Jew.
Can I finish a sentence?
Yeah, finish it. Go.
Yeah.
Guys, let's not cut each other off. Let Destiny speak, and then Zeus, you can respond.
Yeah, in the future, if you're going to say they're fascist and your definition of fascism includes liberal democracy, which is contradictory to almost every single person on the planet's understanding of what fascism means, just say that. Just say, oh.
Hold on, guys. Please. No, here's the thing, okay, Destiny. Fascism is an ideology, okay? It's not necessarily a form of government. Fascism is a political ideology. It's not a form of government.
Well, it's an ideology. It's an ideology.
I don't understand.
What are we arguing? Are we arguing which government is better? The fascist Israeli government?
No,
or
we're trying to
horrible Hamas government. Like, what are we arguing between?
Why the Israeli government is considered a fascist government to them? Why?
Well, okay. We're
trying to figure out.
Would you agree with me that it's a totalitarian government? Right now. Would you agree that it's?
How about instead of getting into these autistic arguments over the style of government, why not just criticize the actions of the government directly? For instance, if we're mad about settlements in the West Bank, why don't we say like settlements in the West Bank should be withdrawn? If we're mad about the blockade in Gaza, why not just say that the blockade in Gaza should end? Why do this weird debate over are they fascist or not? It's so
because
stupid.
They are. Because what we're trying to say is not that the settlement should end or that the West Bank or whatever or what's going on. We want Israel to end.
Yeah, you don't want Israel anymore. You want Israel destroyed. That's your position. Yeah, that is your position.
Okay, whoever that is spewing that racist rhetoric, please get out of here. Okay, nobody wants the end of Israel. That's not what we're talking about. Please f off. Thank you. I don't know where you got your news from. Have you read? Hold on. Have you read the most recent 2017 Hamas charter or no?
I don't read anything.
Okay, so then shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ.
What is the inherent need to call the Israeli government fascist though? It's just under no.
I'm just basing it on the definition. I'm basing it on the definition of fascism. It's just terminology.
No, you're not. You're using an esoteric definition by some writer that nobody's heard of, a paper that nobody's read or nobody cares about.
Because clearly, no matter what the state of Israel does, it seems like there's no way of holding them accountable.
That's not
then
what
go look up.
Hold on. Go look up.
There are liberal democracies. Hold on. The United States is a liberal democracy, and guess what? It's really hard to hold the United States accountable. That doesn't make the United States fascist. To say it's hard to hold them accountable.
It makes them totalitarian.
No, it doesn't. Totalitarian implies single-party rule. What do you mean totalitarian?
Yeah, they're not totalitarian.
Or top-down control of every single thing in the country. There are literally watchdog groups that exist and operate in Israel. Like a totalitarian country wouldn't allow that. It doesn't make any sense.
It actually does, because according to its dominant signature, its characteristic edge, the mechanism of its march and appetite of its idols, progressive democracy is a totalitarian.
Okay,
seeing that it has seared the rest. But look, the thing is that materially, you there? Wait a second. The thing is that materially it contains and shelters, as it has devalued and impoverished, yes, so far guarded against utter peril and extinction, the traditions of civilization and fragments of liberty, basically the shreds of morality and cells of Christian tissue. Which is,
bro, it sounds like you're reading a codec call from Metal Gear Solid 4. What are we talking about? I don't even know what the fuck we're talking about right now.
I'm trying to explain to you, if you could let me, why it's a totalitarian system. Didn't you ask that question?
No, hold on, no. I would never ask you that question, because it sounds like you're just quoting shit off of papers that nobody's read or cares about. Fascism is pretty well understood to be some form of ultranationalist, authoritarian, totalitarian regime where you've got a vertical control over every aspect of the state, and where you've got a single party rule. This idea that liberal democracy can be fascist, you're using some definition no one cares about. And not only does nobody care about it, you're not even making good criticism of Israel. There's good criticisms being made. The fact that it's a liberal democracy is not one of them. It's the dumbest point to argue. Why would you even waste time on this?
No, okay, so here's the thing, right? Yes, they are technically a democracy. That's their form of government. But when I'm referring to fascism, I'm referring to the ideology of fascism. That's what I'm referring to. Right? Everything they do, their actions are conformed. Their actions are conformed with other fascist governments that have existed before, including Mussolini and Hitler.
Okay,
everybody's had fascists. In Nazi Germany, they had public services too. Who the fuck cares? Just criticize the actions. Why are you so obsessed with drawing the parallels? It makes it feel like you don't have an actual argument.
No, that's what we were initially. I was initially calling it a fascist state, and someone said it's not a fascist state, and that's why everything devolved.
Yeah, and now you guys have wasted 20 minutes arguing whether they're a fascist state or not, instead of arguing whether or not the settlements in the West Bank are justified, or arguing whether or not the retribution of the Gaza Strip is justified. You're sitting here arguing over whether it's a fascist state. Who cares?
How about a criminal state?
The whole thing is an apartheid regime, right? The whole thing needs to be dismantled.
Well, that's something that we can disagree on, because I don't really think it fits the bill of apartheid. You might be getting close to it. Maybe we need to come up with another word.
Bro, I don't know what planet you live on. It does not fit the bill of apartheid. Seriously, bro.
No, well, I don't think that there are laws being written into.
Wait, hold on. Okay, just so you know, almost every NGO and every mainstream nonprofit agrees that Israel is an apartheid regime. including Amnesty International. So I don't think we have to argue about that. I think anyone with a base level of knowledge about what's happening there and has been happening there, especially the past 17 years with the blockade on Gaza, it's very easy to just let's not argue about that because you're just wrong.
Okay, well, hang on. Maybe we just have different working definitions.
But why was there a blockade of Gaza?
Brother Shereef.
Sorry, I accidentally muted everybody. It's my bad. Unmute yourselves.
Okay.
Don't expect Israeli apologists to agree with that. To agree with Amnesty International and other organizations that call Israel a criminal apartheid state.
The vast majority of NGOs and the nonprofits all agree that Israel is an apartheid regime. So you can go and argue with them if you want.
All right, let's hear some Israeli apologists.
Today, 2023 would be accepting an apartheid regime as a legitimate country, which we cannot accept because it's 2023. Come on, guys.
Okay, how do you solve the apartheid?
How do you solve it? I can answer that. I can answer that. Get rid of the blockade in Gaza. Get the 600,000 illegal settlers from the West Bank out of there. Stop doing nightly check-ins where you go in and you disrupt the family and beat up the father and tie him up. Stop all the human rights atrocities that are happening to the people in Gaza and the West Bank. Give them civil rights. Give them autonomy. Give them their own borders. Let's go back to the 1967 borders delegated by the UN. That's where we start. We end the occupation. We start treating them like human beings, and we stop occupying them. That's the real solution. That's what the UN voted for several times.
Okay, cool. So you're in favor. You said you're in favor of a two-state solution, then?
I think I have a better solution, but the most
wait, hold on. I heard 67 borders. Doesn't that mean two-state solution?
Actually, a two-state solution with an armed Palestinian state that could work, but they have to be as armed as Israel is.
Why don't we go back to the 67 borders when Jordan owned the West Bank and Egypt owned the Gaza Strip? Are those the ones you want to go back to, or?
How about
I'm talking about the ones where Palestine has autonomy and has sovereignty, not Jordan and Egypt. We can actually go back to the Wait, hold on. Why don't we go back to the 1947 borders delegated by UN?
Well, we would have, but the Arabs voted that down. Remember, the Palestinians said they didn't like that.
No, it was actually the Zionists. No, it was actually the Zionists. That's why they did the first Nakba, if you remember.
Are you sure they didn't do the first Nakba because all the Arabs voted it down and then all of them invaded and tried to steal Palestinian land from them? Like they claimed that Israel did?
That was after they had invaded and destroyed 220 villages in Palestine.
Oh, really? Wait, yes. Jesus, can you tell me why didn't Jordan give why did Jordan capture the West Bank? Why didn't give the Palestinians a state? Why did Egypt capture the Gaza Strip? Why didn't they give the Palestinians a state? They held the land for 20 years.
Wait, hold on. Because they literally did after they took occupation of those areas, they literally gave it back. What are you talking about?
Hold on. No, they didn't. Excuse me? Jordan extended from the lands of Jordan all the way up to Jerusalem. Egypt literally controlled and ran the Gaza Strip. What do you mean they gave it back? You're telling me those were countries?
No, but do they still occupy them today? No.
No, because Israel won them back in wars against those countries.
Okay, and?
So I'm asking you, why in the 20 years from 1948 to 1967, why didn't Jordan give the Palestinians a state? Why didn't Egypt give the Palestinians a state?
Because Jordan and Egypt, they both didn't have the power to do that. Like, what are you
They didn't have the power to just pull their armies back?
No, of course not, because those people needed protection because they were bad. Like the Palestinian people were.
When did Egypt go from being a monarchy to a republic?
No, 1 second, because guys, just one thing at a time. Because on this particular thing, the Palestinian people were not an armed nation. When the Balfour Agreement was signed, over years the British aided Zionists in migration to the Middle East, to Palestine, and they armed them, and they were what's it called? They even had World War II generals that aided them in battles, and they scouted villages. So a lot of the people in Palestine majority they were farmers. It wasn't really a capital for war or like that region was not really militarized like that.
If the region wasn't really militarized, wouldn't it have been a really good idea to accept the 47 partition plan? What was the plan after rejecting that?
Because it's a foreign power that's coming into the region that's going to cause instability in the region, which eventually it did.
Here's a better analogy for you, Destiny. Okay, imagine China came.
Wait, hold on. Wait. Let's just talk about the fact. We don't need analogies here. Let's just talk about what happened.
No,
we don't need analogies.
No, because you have American bias. Like,
hold on. What did I just say that was evident of American bias?
Because you aren't understanding the fact that when you have an occupying force like Israel, which instated itself illegally in 1948, why there's going to be conflict between them and the neighboring Arab nations. How can you not understand that? How can you not understand that these people have been living there for thousands of years? Hold on. No, hold on. These people have been living here for thousands of years, okay? And the reason I want to give you an analogy to America, because it's easier for your American brain to understand, right? Let's say China invaded California, took the next state, the next state, the next state, the next state. And then we say, we go to the UN, oh, let's let China have half of America, half the American states. Let's have the other half of American states. Don't you think those American states that are under occupation would fight back? Go ahead.
I don't see the comparison. Are you saying that the Arab states are comparable to the United States, the individual states?
Yes, let's give an example of like the American states.
We're one entity, the United States. If China tried to invade us, we would all fight back.
No, but the Arabs
the Arabs are all genetically similar. We're all Arabs.
No, but even before that, if we go back into history, for like over 1,000 years, the Arabs were pretty much one country, stemming from Morocco all the way up to Persia, and it depends on the varying period. If we're talking about the Umayyads or Abbasid or the Ottomans or the Mamluk in between, or like so, the Arabs, yes, there is a brotherhood amongst Arabs in the region. It's only a modern idea that the Arab world is known as it is. Most of these places were mostly kingdoms and principalities. They weren't really nation states or ethno states even. It was just diverse.
I know area. You're absolutely right, brother. It's just that the Israeli apologists want us to think that history started as Sykes-Picot.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Exactly. Sykes-Picot is the key agreement. 1908. You can look this up. They drafted that in 1908, where they divided the Middle East based off of ethnicities or religion, where they wanted to put let's say the Christians in Lebanon, the Sunnis in northern Syria. They pretty much did. The British and the French did that secretly. Then went on to fund internal groups in Syria and in Lebanon and Palestine, and all, where they told them to rise up against the Ottomans. And they will grant them nationhood and autonomy over their land.
Can I interrupt?
Meanwhile, during that same period, they signed the Balfour Agreement and sold out the Palestinians. They were literally dividing and they backstabbed the Arabs at every single corner. So you can't come and tell me in 1967 why the Arabs went in and helped the Palestinians, because yes, those Palestinians needed people to defend them. They were caught. They were been subject to decades of abuse, even pre-occupation.
One sec.
Go ahead.
I really super appreciate all of the history that you know, but I just don't see how that is all relevant to like what is happening right now in this instance. Like, I think you could technically just go back in time and trace every single event in the Arab world that can contribute to this conflict right now. But I think it would be more useful if we just like talked about this conflict and like what's going on. And like, what are some criticisms we can have of Israel? And
buddy, this is a very serious conflict, and it didn't start on October 7th. To understand the existence of Hamas and the response that Hamas gave back to Israel's occupation, you have to understand the situation at its inception. And to understand that, you have to go back to the beginning of the 19th century, right before the World War. There's a lot of events that tie into it that leads to the current conflict between the Zionists and the Arabs in the region. That's how you
exactly, brother. And at this point, I'm really asking myself the question: are these egghead Israeli apologists even capable of understanding?
Well, by the way, guys, not to clout farm, but please follow me. I have a Spaces every night around this time. We're going to be having Layla, who's a journalist from the ground in Lebanon, who's going to be joining us very soon. Thank you. Go on.
Cool. I said earlier, I don't know if I was muted or not, but I don't read anything. It sounds like that other Destiny guy does read stuff, though, so maybe you could ask him. But like, I only really care about like what's going on. I honestly
don't think Destiny is very like knowledgeable about the geopolitics of that region, to be honest.
Yeah, true.
Like, he's knowledgeable about other things, but not about geopolitics in that region for sure.
I agree. I don't know much. Like, for instance, I didn't know that liberal democracies were fascist. I just learned that today, so thank you.
No, but liberal.
Well, you didn't understand. Wait, hold on. You don't understand the difference between an ideology and a form of government, though, either, do you? Go on.
Well, I don't.
But I don't know how you're connecting them. Like, so what if they're different? Like, you can say that you are still saying that the Israeli government is fascist, right?
Yes.
I reject.
Okay. No, let me pose this better. Let me say this better. Okay.
But wait.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Zionism is a fascist ideology, and Israel represents that ideology. That's a better way to put it.
What about Islamist ideology? What do you like? Isn't that closer to fascism than Zionism, where you literally subjugate people that aren't part of your religious hegemony or whatever to like second-class citizens? You make them pay extra taxes. You treat them differently.
False.
What part of that
is false? That's totally false. The people outside of your religion don't pay extra taxes. They pay a lesser tax than the people of the religion. You're wrong about that.
First of all, they don't pay a lesser tax. They literally have a separate tax classification. Secondly, they're literally treated as second-class citizens. Thirdly, after every single war Israel won, there were literally Jewish people expelled from every single fucking
Maybe you want to go
state
back to your Jewish ancestors and ask them how they lived under Islamic systems. I'm pretty sure they would tell you that they want to go back to live there.
Really? It seems to me like they'd rather live on their own separate state that they kind of took from you guys in the Middle East.
But wait, why take an Arab state? Why take territory from the Arabs when it was never the Arabs that discriminated against you? I mean,
technically it was never an Arab state. It was just like empty land with a bunch of people that kept dying of fucking malaria over and over again. But I mean, if you want to get technical about it.
No. It was still denominated as Palestine even under Ottoman rule. They were still known as Palestine even on maps that go back centuries. So please brush up on your knowledge on that to that extent, please. But I mean, again, why should Israel go? Why should the Zionist movement go and invade a land in the Middle East when it was never the Arabs that were discriminating against the Jews? I mean, we all know it was Europe that, since the 11th century, didn't allow them to be like engineers, doctors, good professions. So they had to resort to money lending, because the Catholic states at that time, it was illegal for them to do so as a religion. So what happened was the Jews became money lenders. They became very rich because of it, and that's where all the tropes and the racist stereotypes come from. And none of this stems from how the Jews were treated within Arab and Islamic nations. You go back centuries and centuries, and Jews within these Arab nations were always living completely with equality and in complete peace. So if you want to get a piece of land, go chunk a piece of Germany off, or go chunk a piece of Florida or a piece of Poland. Go take a part of the continent that exiled you and discriminated against you for a whole millennia. Oh shit! I muted everybody. My bad. I didn't mean to.
Shereef, they know they can't. They know they.
Can I just respond to Destiny's point, because like that was slanderous, to be honest with you. That was slanderous on Islam, because you said the jizya was not a punishment tax on people who didn't subscribe to Islam. It was to offset, because Muslims had the fard of zakat and barakah. They had to pay that. So jizya is to balance it out, because Islam was a way of ruling during that society. So it was a tax on everybody. It was to balance it out. But there was no sub treatment of non-Muslims. That's false, because and that's evident in the people on the ground. You can see the diversity of the Middle East.
Hold on. This is so fucking cringe.
One sec. It is slander. No, this isn't cringe. This isn't cringe. This, like, you can look. Kurds existed in the Middle East. They maintained their culture, their language, and their own autonomy over themselves. You have Ashuriyin, Chaldeans, all existed in the region of the Middle East under Islamic rule, and all of them still maintain their religion. They maintain their language. All of them. You cannot. That's evidence through genetics and through culture.
Can you explain what does dhimmi mean?
Dhimmi?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if what you're referring to is the religious figures that are preaching within the Islamic rule.
No, shut the fuck up. Are you even a fucking Muslim? Wait, are you even a Muslim?
Yes, I am Muslim.
Okay, Jews and Christians were literally relegated to second-class citizen status across the Islamic countries they lived in, including the Ottoman Empire. Everything you said was a lie. You can Google it if you want to learn about it, but I don't give a fuck. I'm not here to talk about that right now. I didn't know why you're contesting this. Number one. Number two, there was no fucking Palestine on a map, ever. That's bullshit. The first time Palestinians even had some sense of fucking national identity, it's been like the past 50, 60 years. That's why when Egypt conquered them, nobody cried for a state. That's why when Jordan conquered them, nobody cried for a fucking state.
Hey, Destiny, hold on. Destiny, just because you speak fast doesn't mean you're smart. Go ahead, Layla. Let's Layla speak.
Yeah. Let's start one thing. Saying that Palestine did not exist on the map, I literally have a video with all the documents in it showing that the map literally confessed to Palestine since 1700s and even before. But like the earliest map I could ever get my hands on was from the 1700s. It says Palestine, okay?
Do you know where the borders of Palestine even are?
Once again, Let me just continue. And Golda Meir had the Palestinian passport. And Shamir and others actually applied for the Palestinian citizenship before 1948, by the way. And there's a video that where basically Golda Meir herself says, I am Palestinian. That was before the basically 1948 and mumbo jumbo, etc. We have permits, licenses, and even like sewer caps that says government of Palestine on them, and they're older than Israel today. So keep it at that. Al-Shifa Hospital, the one that's being bombarded by the Israelis, is older than Israel. And it had a Palestinian identity before that. Palestine was a developed country. The first car that went into the Middle East went into Palestine before there was Israel. Let me finish the last point. And under Islamic ruling, even from everything, like you're talking about jizya, etc., whatever it is, I agree with the brother who actually explained it to you. If you go to a country, you have to pay taxes in that country if you live in it, right? For Muslims, they call it zakah, etc. For non-Muslims, because they can't collect zakah from them, they call it jizya. It's part of the taxes. Everybody pays taxes. It's the name of the tax that differs. But everybody enjoyed equal religious rights. Nobody's allowed to ban somebody from actually practicing his religious rights under Islamic rules. Now, I'm not talking about Ottomans even. I'm talking under Islam. You had caliphates and Muslim caliphates who actually had Christians and Jews as their advisors, as their doctors, and they were always allowed to reach the highest positions, except basically for ruling. And that's normal in a certain society where you have the majority of the people as Muslims. You basically have a Muslim ruler, no matter what. Some of them had mothers who were Jews or Christians, by the way. And even during the Ottoman Empire, the same thing continued. And it was the Ottoman Empire who allowed the Jews from Europe to go and settle in the 1800s, in the mid to late 1800s, to settle in Palestine. And when the Zionists had their dream to come to Palestine, since Herzl's time in 1897 and up, they were coming to the Ottoman Empire. Nobody touched them. They were living in peace with the Palestinians. It wasn't until basically the Zionists, extra ultra Zionist Jews, started coming after World War I, after Balfour Agreement and Declaration, they came to Palestine and they started regrouping in small groups that were terrorist organizations. The Haganah, I can name you at least 3 or 4 of them. And they were blasting hotels, killing people, killing civilians. It wasn't the Jews doing that, it was the Zionists, 1922 and others. And when the Arabs retaliated to stop them, the Jews, basically the Zionists started telling the world, oh, the Arabs are attacking Jews, etc. They were rallying people against them. But it was the British who called the Zionists and the radical Jews in Palestine, they called them terrorists. It was the British Empire who actually called them that. Moving forward to 1948, the Zionists continued to take Palestinian land and kill Palestinians. We're not going to talk about Deir Yassin, 1945, and other massacres that the Zionists committed. We're going to talk about after 1948, when the Israelis said that they have their own state. What happened? Under international law, Zionism was considered a terrorist movement. It was considered a form of racism and discrimination by not only the whole world under United Nations. And there's a very famous decision from the UN General Assembly called, it was 3379 over 1975. It was passed in 1975. It actually considered Zionism a form of discrimination and racism. You can go and check it out, Resolution 3379. And that resolution continued until the early 1990s, supported by the Jews of the world because they were fed up with the Zionist movement. And it was supported by Arabs and supported by everybody who hated terrorism at that point. And it wasn't until the Americans voted against this resolution and rallied people against it. You know how they rally people within the United Nations? By force or basically threatening them. But that resolution basically was taken out eventually in 1992 or I think 1993. I can't remember the date exactly. However, for almost 20 years, racism was considered and seen by everybody as that. And once the Zionists grew in every government around there in the big 5 countries, and they had their say in world politics, that's when everybody started becoming afraid of even mentioning what Zionism is. And today, if you speak about Zionism, you will be labeled anti-Semite. If you actually criticize a political thing that the Israelis do, you would be considered anti-Semite. Despite the fact that Semitism has to do with the race of the original Jews, not the Ashkenazi Jews or somebody else. Semitism is a race. It has nothing to do with politics. And when you call somebody anti-Semite, mind you, both Shereef and I are Semites. We are from this region. We are original Arabs. So kindly try to get your facts straight before you come over here. Get your facts straight before you come and spew your own propaganda or your own misinformation on us.
Leila, these Zionist, these egghead Zionist apologists are not even capable of understanding.
Can I just ask Leila a question?
Let him argue facts. I gave him facts on the ground that he can double check.
Yeah, can I just ask Leila a question?
Guys, ask your question. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, Leila. Yeah, that was a lot of knowledge. You're saying that Palestine existed even before Israel declared independence and that Golda Meir had a Palestinian passport? Can you tell me who issued that?
Golda Meir said that on camera. There's video of this.
The British occupation, there's a video where Golda Meir says, I am Palestinian. And I have literally a card from Golda Meir in the 1930s. She sent it to her friend Shoshana in Egypt. Golda Meir at the time was in Tel Aviv. She sent her a postcard signed Golda Meir, etc. Like she puts the address and then she puts Palestine towards the end. She could
Leila, you said she was issued a Palestinian passport. Can you tell me who the issuing authority was on that?
Yeah, it was the occupation over Palestine at the time.
So it wasn't a Palestinian state. It was
Oh wait, Destiny, hold on, Leila, hold on. Destiny, why are we arguing about nationality and passports when really what we're talking about who are the indigenous peoples of that region? Okay, the Native Americans never denoted their land as Native America, but they still genocided the Native Americans. They still ethnically cleansed them. So your whole point about nationality and all this crap is BS. Go on, Leila.
Okay, I'm going to say something, but I'm going to mute everybody because I don't want somebody to jump in when I'm saying something. And I'm sorry about that, but this is a dictatorship.
I think Destiny disconnected. I think
over here, so I'm going to mute everyone. just in case, just in case. First of all, Lebanon was under the French occupation. Did Lebanon not exist under international law? The French mandate over Lebanon, much like the British mandate over Palestine, were occupation force legalized by the League of Nations. So Palestine existed. It was a piece of land that had people in it, and they had self-governance under their own sheikhs and princes, etc. They were very advanced. The Ottomans occupied the region, but that doesn't mean the region basically was Turkish. They occupied several countries, much like any empire goes and occupies the country. And once the occupation,
the country. I mean, it looks like he's gone.
This is what happened to Lebanon. It was under the Ottoman occupation. Then the French occupation came. Then the Israeli occupation came. And the Syrian later on occupation, the military occupation came until it was legalized until 1990.
Hold on, Leila, hold on. I think
she talking.
Let me just interrupt you really quickly. Leila, Habibti, hold on. Listen, Destiny left. Okay, it's clear he was out of his depth in terms of knowledge here, and he resorted to arguing about was there a Palestinian passport, was there a Palestinian nationality? Okay, I don't. But even if there wasn't, it does not deny the fact that the Palestinians have been indigenous to that land for thousands of years. Like I said, the Native Americans didn't have passports. They didn't denote their land, the land of the Native Americans. Okay, but they still colonized that land.
I'm gonna leave.
And they did it through.
Unfortunately, I think I don't have my mic muted through this browser, and if I show my audio devices, I'm gonna dox myself.
I suggest you really
I'm dodging that right off the bat. Sorry.
When you talk to Leila, you're gonna have to come with a bunch of facts.
Hold on, I'll try chat.
Even if he comes back with facts, I will always use their words against themselves as well.
Am I unmuted?
Good morning, guys. I just want to have a quick word here, yeah? So, Leila, I posted a video to you of Golda Meir, so if you can just put that in the Jumbotron, I can't seem to find
I just shared it in the nest. I just shared it in the nest.
You did, okay.
I can't tell when I'm muted or not.
I wish that Destiny guy had stayed. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to jump in and talk either. But I think everything that Leila has said is on point, and it's a pity that he can't stay and actually deal with the reality of the stuff that was said to him, and he's just coming up with bullshit.
To be fair to Destiny,
he's a Zionist egghead.
Well, the point is, he got muted, I think, too many times, and he's decided to walk away. So it's a pity. I think people need to have a bit more back and forth rather than just shutting people down. So that's a matter for you guys.
I agree. Am I still muted? I can't tell. I honestly can't tell.